Unbelievably, I'm back. Randy Jimmy James Bowles, once and always of the Velvet Illusions, with another Velvet Illusions tale just for you. I'm making a whole series of these, and if you don't know who the Velvet Illusions are, just Google it. Google is your friend. I'm going to read you a story that's pretty funny and scary at times. At least I was scared. I was even scared writing it, having to remember back to 1967. But don't be too scared. What I recommend you do is find a comfortable place to sit and just get yourself together, relax, perhaps close your eyes and sit back and listen to me. Or you can watch me because I try to make interesting facial expressions and I use my hands every once in a while to illustrate things. But I am reading while I'm talking to you, so I can't be quite as animated as I would be in person. I'm sorry about that. Let me click over to the story. There it is. I'm going to start reading it to you now. And remember, it is a little scary. It's called The Velvet Illusions Braved Dick Dale's Lions and Tigers. In 1967, once we Velvet Illusions had transplanted ourselves from our hometown of Yakima, Washington, to the glamorous city of Hollywood, California. It actually wasn't glamorous at all. We experienced a few adventures that were definitely worth remembering and writing about 55 years after the fact. Here's one of them, and ironically, I am the one destined to relate it. Our manager, Mr. Radford, sax player's daddy, had a great scam going. He would find ways for us 7 boys to make money. He would then find ways for him to spend it. One bright summer day he decided, for reasons known only to him, that we should have our own massive high-end reel-to-reel tape recorder. We were writing a lot of songs, so that would be a plausible reason for having a quality machine, for making our own demos. However, the Velvet Illusions house, you see the 8 of us lived together in a ranch house complete with meditation garden and avocado tree. The house was situated in the middle of a quiet Hollywood neighborhood. And whenever we practiced, someone or several someones would call the cops on us. It didn't matter how quiet we thought we were playing. Our Vox Super Beetles went up to 10. We had them set below 2, but no matter. You set up 4 Super Beetle amplifiers, a Vox Continental organ, and a big set of gold metal flake Ludwig drums in a ranch house living room, and you're not going to be all that quiet. It became a running joke between the cops and us. They would roll up in front of our house with no lights, no blaring siren, for they knew us. They'd knock politely on the door with no batons or guns drawn, for again they knew us. We'd politely open the door, they'd step in, laugh, and say, "Well, practice is over for today, boys." They liked us because we weren't the dirty hippies they were used to confronting. We were small town boys whose only crime was playing our teeny bopper boy band music too loud. So we'd start unplugging things all over the place to indicate that we were complying with their orders, and they'd leave for that day. After a while, we just stopped practicing at home. Mr. Radford hired a practice space a couple of times so that we wouldn't completely forget our songs, or so we could rehearse a new band member. The band had become a revolving door due to his incompetent, dishonest management. So no, I didn't see the point in acquiring a big, expensive tape recorder, especially since I was busting dishes 8 hours a day at Hodie's Hollywood and Vine restaurant and turning over my entire paycheck to Mr. R. It seemed like an extravagant purchase, much like the big Vox amps and other over-the-top purchases he had made with our funds. But one day, He said, "Boys, get in the car. We're going to Dick Dale's house to buy a tape machine." Now, if you don't know who Dick Dale is, I will help you. At the end of this story I'm telling you, I'll share a link to one of his groovy surf guitar instrumentals. But yeah, Mr. Radford said we were going to meet the guitar monster and his father manager, James Monsoor, and would tour their house, have a chat, and check out an Ampex tape recorder, which he would buy if he liked it. We were super fans of Dick Dale, who, by the way, was taught to play music by his father. Although Yakima was named for the river that runs through it, surf music, like all guitar music, was huge there, as it was in the entire Pacific Northwest. The reverb-drenched music comprised a good-sized portion of our repertoire. Oh, and Mr. Radford let it be known that there would be lions, tigers, cheetahs, ocelots roaming the premises, because Dick Dale kept his own menagerie of man-eating cats. They were his pets, along with about 3 dozen guitars and other assorted stringed instruments. The trip was made. 6 Velvet Illusions hopped into the vehicle with Mr. Radford at the wheel, and after a drive into the Hollywood Hills, the destination was reached. Dick and his dad were there to meet the boys, to talk story, to give the tour, to introduce the lions, tigers, cheetahs, and ocelots, and finally to show off the tape recorder. Everyone had a great time, and in the end, Mr. Radford was very pleased with the big, heavy tape recorder. It was schlepped into the car by the boys, and then brought into the Velvet Illusions house, which is where yours truly first laid eyes on it. If you think I was going to cross the threshold of someone's abode who allowed, no, encouraged, huge carnivorous jungle cats to roam the premises, then you don't know me very well. Well, actually, you don't, do you? You see, before we left Yakima for Hollywood, Mr. Radford drove us north to the ranching farming community of Ellensburg, Washington, where we were forced to pose with a bull cow the size of an Indian elephant in the middle of a pasture in the blazing hot eastern Washington sun. Since we were Westerners, Mr. R thought that it would make a great publicity photo, and it exists to this day, but his son, our sax player, won't share one with me. I thought at the time that was going to be my last day on earth. The enormous brown bull took one look at me, and suddenly it had blood in its eye. I knew it was going to kill me. Its owner was attempting to control it by way of a chain around its neck, but it was struggling to break away so that it could come and kill the 17-year-old boy known as me. Only its respect for and or fear of its owner stopped it from just flicking him out of its way so that it could finish me off in a cloud of dust. I have nightmares about that bull to this day. To this day, I am a vegetarian. If I have to eat a burger, make mine a veggie burger. Por favor. That was a watershed moment in my life. Motoring to Dick Dale's house to hang with his resident man-eaters would have been one watershed moment too many for me. So I stayed home, quietly sitting in our backyard meditation garden, while the other boys mindlessly piled into the car and journeyed to the Villa Dale. So why aren't they writing about that here? I don't know. I saw nothing, and yet I'm telling the tale. That's the meat. Now here's the gravy. First of all, it bugs me. It bugs the HE double toothpicks out of me that I had to endure the encounter with the huge bull, and yet I don't have a photo of it. If I did, I'd share it with the world. And secondly, I wouldn't attend a meetup with Scarlett Johansson if it included being the possible snack of a lion, let alone Dick Dale. Now, if you'd like to see a Dick Dale music video, just go to the YouTube and type in Dick Dale, D-A-L-E, and then I'll suggest a song, Miserlou. That's one of his iconic numbers, M-I-S-E-R-L-O-U. And with that, I love you, and I will see you later on, and thanks a lot for listening to this Velvet Illusions tale. Bye-bye.